Wow, you've given us a lot to think about with these articles this time around.
Yeah, definitely some interesting stuff to unpack here.
It seems like the common thread running through everything is AI, but it's popping up in some really unexpected
It
places.
really does seem like AI is everywhere these days.
Like, we knew AI was going to be big, but this is something else.
It really makes you stop and think where it won't be in 10 years' time.
So from what I gather, you've been looking into how AI is changing the game and
Hmm.
everything from like Formula One racing to the art world.
Absolutely, and that's just scratching the surface. It's
Yeah.
fascinating how AI is not just automating tasks, but actually starting to reshape entire industries.
Okay, so let's jump right into it. What's the mission for today's deep dive? What are the key takeaways we should be looking out for?
Well, the mission here is to dig into these articles and really understand how AI is being used and, more importantly, how people are reacting to it.
Because let's face it, AI is bringing up some pretty big questions right now, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Ethical concerns, philosophical debates, you name it. We're all trying to figure out where we fit into this new landscape.
Okay, well, that's definitely a lot to unpack, but let's start with something a little more concrete. This article about AI in Formula One racing, that one caught my eye.
Yeah, that was a really interesting one.
It's not something you'd immediately think of, AI and race car driving. What's the connection?
Right. You might think it's about driverless cars, but it's actually much more nuanced than that.
Okay, so tell me more. What's the inside scoop? How is AI actually being used in Formula One?
So, Formula One has always been a data driven sport, right? But with AI, teams like McLaren are able to process massive amounts of data in real time and use it to make those split-second decisions that can make or break a race.
Like when to pit, what tires to use, that kind of thing.
Exactly. For example, AI can now help determine the optimal moment for a pit stop in just a third of a lap.
Wow, that's incredible. In a third of a lap.
I know, it's mind-blowing. That kind of speed and precision can be the difference between winning and losing a race.
And it really makes you think about the applications beyond racing. Imagine having that kind of data analysis in like everyday life. We could be so much more efficient.
Absolutely. AI has the potential to revolutionize decision-making in all sorts of fields.
It's like having a supercomputer for a brain. But speaking of big players, that article about PwC's AI overhaul was pretty telling, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, that was a big one. It really highlights how seriously major corporations are taking this whole AI revolution.
It seems like they're going all in on AI. What are they doing exactly?
Well, PwC is actually creating a whole new standalone unit focused specifically on AI and other cutting-edge technologies.
That's a pretty clear sign that they see AI as the future of their business. But what does that mean for their employees? Are they all expected to become AI experts overnight?
That's a good question, and the article touches on that a bit. It's less about everyone becoming a coding whiz and more about adapting to this new reality where AI is playing an increasingly prominent role.
So what you're saying is that we all need to learn how to work with AI, even if we're not necessarily building the algorithms ourselves.
Exactly. It's about understanding how to interpret AI-generated insights, analyze complex data sets, and basically speak the language of this new technological landscape.
It's almost like AI is pushing us all to level up, wouldn't you say?
It's definitely accelerating the pace of change, that's for sure. But, it's not all sunshine and roses. And that brings us to a less glamorous but equally important aspect of AI, its potential for, well, let's be blunt, manipulation.
You're talking about that research on AI and misinformation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was a bit unnerving.
To say the least, what really stood out to me was how easily AI could be used to create these super targeted misinformation campaigns.
It's like with all the data out there about what we like, what we read, what we believe, it's like they can craft these messages that are practically irresistible.
Exactly. And because they're tailored to our individual online habits and preferences, these campaigns become incredibly persuasive.
It's like they're playing 4D chess while we're stuck playing checkers.
It really highlights the potential for AI to be used for, well, less than noble purposes.
It's a bit chilling when you think about it. Remember that example in one of the articles? About how AI could even fabricate news stories designed to resonate with someone's specific social media profile.
Yeah, that was a bit creepy. I mean, we've always had propaganda and misinformation, but this takes it to a whole new level.
It feels like we're already swimming in a sea of information overload, and now it's about to get even more difficult to tell what's real and what's not.
Absolutely. It's a real concern, especially with elections coming up.
So how do we fight back against that? How do we even begin to navigate this new landscape where information itself can be weaponized?
Well, awareness is a good first step. We need to be aware of the potential for AI to be used in this way, but beyond that, I think it comes down to being much more discerning about the information we consume.
You mean not just hitting that share button without thinking twice?
Exactly. Fact-checking is more important than ever. Look at the sources, consider the motivations behind the information you're reading, and be wary of anything that seems overly sensationalized or emotionally manipulative.
It's like we all need to become amateur detectives in the digital age.
In a way, yes. A healthy dose of skepticism is essential.
You know, on a slightly lighter note, one of the other articles you sent over got me thinking. It was about AI and art, and it reminded me of this experience I had at the Casa Batlló in Barcelona.
Casa Batlló, Gaudi's masterpiece. I'm all ears.
Right. So the house itself, it's like walking into a dream. Gaudi's imagination was just off the charts. But at the end of the tour, there was this exhibit. They called it Gaudi Dreams.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Gaudi Dreams, what was it like?
It was billed as this immersive AI experience, like stepping into the mind of Gaudi as he was designing this incredible house.
Sounds pretty cool in theory.
It was.
Yeah.
Fine. Technically impressive, sure. But compared to the actual house, to the organic, almost spiritual beauty of what Gaudi created, it just felt kind of sterile, you know?
I get what you mean. Like, it was missing that spark of genius, that je ne sais quoi that makes Gaudi so unique.
Exactly. And it got me thinking, can AI really replicate that level of artistic brilliance? Or is there something inherently human about true creativity?
That's a question that a lot of people are wrestling with right now. Artists, technologists, philosophers, the whole lot. And your experience at Casa Batlló really gets to the heart of the issue. It's a really interesting question. And it kind of reminds me of that article about gunk.
Gunk. Okay, now you have to explain that one.
Right, so gunk, in this context, it's not like what you're thinking. It's more like the article used it to talk about those little imperfections, those happy accidents that you often find in art made by humans. The things that AI, at least for now, kind of struggles with.
Interesting. So it's like those imperfections are actually part of what makes art, well, art.
Exactly. It's like if everything is perfectly symmetrical, perfectly balanced, it can sometimes feel a bit, I don't know, soulless.
Sterile, almost.
Yeah, sterile is a good word for it. Like those AI-generated images we've all seen, they can be technically amazing, but sometimes they lack a certain something.
That human touch.
Exactly. But that's not to say that AI can't be a powerful tool for artists.
Right. We were talking about Holly Herndon earlier, the musician.
Exactly. Holly Herndon, she uses AI in her music, but it's not about the AI making all the decisions. It's more like a collaboration, you know?
So it's like AI becomes another instrument, in a way.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to think about it. It can help artists explore new sounds, new ways of creating, push the boundaries of what's possible.
It's like this whole other world of creativity is opening up. It really makes you wonder, what does the future hold for art in the age of AI?
It's a really exciting time to be having these conversations, and I think the answer is we don't know yet. But it's up to us to explore these new tools, to experiment, and to see where it all leads.
And I think that's a great takeaway, not just for art, but for all of this stuff we've been talking about. AI is changing the game in so many ways, and the best thing we can do is stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged in the conversation.
Absolutely. And remember, AI isn't some distant future anymore. It's here, it's now. So the more we understand it, the better equipped we'll be to navigate whatever comes next.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, that was a deep dive if I ever heard one. Thanks for breaking it all down for us.
My pleasure. Always a good time. Until next time.